There's no inference that the death was intentional, and it does not mean that it is necessarily a crime. The medical examiner readily admitted that she determined there was not any excessive force in this case.
Right now at 4, under investigation, the medical examiner releases new findings surrounding a Niagara County inmate's death, how the sheriff's office is responding. Plus, see you in court. President Donald Trump fires back after an appeals court refuses to reinstate its travel ban.
While the average person might not use this, they should understand that this is a very low-cost way to help a lot of people.
And cleaning contaminated water, the students behind a special device that could help regions around the world. The Northeast is digging out from the biggest snowstorm of the season. Areas in New England and eastern New York got as much as 1.5 feet of snow. We're seeing snow this afternoon in western New York. This is a live look outside at the 33. We want to warn you about slippery conditions that could cause problems for your drive home from work. Right now you can see there is some snow on the ground, but it looks like for the most part the roads are pretty clear. Good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us on News 4. No weather alerts are in place right now, but you should still be careful on the roads. Forward meteorologist Andrew Baglini joins us now with your first look at your forecast. Andrew?
Yeah, Christy, it's the timing of the snow that's really the trickiest part. It's generally been light to moderate activity. We have seen some heavier brief bursts of snow, mostly north and south of the metro area, but widespread light snow all across western New York. Here's a quick look at the 190 around Packard Road. You can still see some slick spots out there. That's the bigger problem. Not really high accumulations, but the untreated surfaces definitely seeing some slick spots, and low visibility has also been a big issue. Traffic already beginning to pile up, so keep that in mind if you're heading out in the next couple of hours. Expect a couple headaches. It is going to be a bit of a slower go of it. Here's a look at the satellite and radar. You see the snow moving through and some deeper shades of blue moving in from the west. Right now moving through Chautauqua County. I do expect that snow to pick up a little bit around the metro area in the next half hour before things start to lighten up closer to 7 o'clock as the snow moves on out. Here's a look at where visibility stands right now. Pretty much below 1 mile visibility across a lot of western New York, less than a mile in Buffalo, up toward Niagara Falls, through the southern tier. So visibility definitely an issue on the busier roads, on the highways and the interstates. So keep that in mind for the next couple of hours. It is going to be a bit of a mess. Quick look at the hour-by-hour forecast. The back edge of that should be moving through around 6 to 7 o'clock and leaving the downtown area, still hitting the areas north and east of the city. But by later on tonight, 10 o'clock, most of that snow is gone, and then we'll just keep the clouds in place. Unfortunately for the full moon and eclipse for tonight, not great viewing conditions. Saturday, we'll keep the clouds in place as well, maybe some pockets of drizzle. All we're really looking for is about an inch, maybe inch or two in some spots for this evening, but that snow does end if you're heading out for your Friday night plans. Temperatures actually rising overnight. By tomorrow morning, we'll be in the 30s. Coming up in my full forecast, we'll look ahead through the weekend. Our next chance for rain and snow heading on Sunday. I'll time that out for you in a few minutes.
It has been brought to my attention that the Erie County medical examiner will rule the cause of death in this case of Mr. Hunt as a homicide.
Developing in your top 4, the death of a Niagara County inmate has been ruled a homicide. 25-year-old John Hunt died in August 2016. The sheriff's office said he died in his sleep. Sheriff James Vertor says he and the office do not agree with the medical examiner's ruling. Hunt was in jail accused of sexually assaulting a woman at the Niagara County Community College. The sheriff says there was an incident a little while, more than a week before his death, involving force. And the sheriff says that involved about 5 officers trying to restrain Hunt. He says they used a baton to put pressure points on his shin to try to restrain him. And he says that force was necessary and appropriate. The sheriff says the medical examiner thinks it could have caused a condition called rhabdomyolysis, which is what the medical examiner ruled Hunt died from. It's a condition caused by muscle injury. The sheriff says he may agree with the condition Hunt died from, but he does not agree his death was a homicide.
The rhabdomyolysis cannot be pinpointed by the medical examiner's office to any particular body part or when the onset of the condition may have occurred. Again, it is not alleged that excessive force was used. There were no outward signs of physical injuries to Mr. Hunt's body.
Sheriff Vertor says the case is being forwarded to the district attorney office to review. We'll have response from the district attorney coming up on News 5. Crime Stoppers and the Buffalo Police Department are offering a reward for the 3rd straight day for information on a suspected killer. Up to $2,500 is being offered for information leading to the arrest of the person who killed this man, Quantrell Carson. He was shot and killed January 4th on Northland Avenue. His body was found on a sidewalk. Call the number on your screen if you have any information. A driver is facing DWI charges after two UB students were hit by a car last night. Police say they were crossing the streets at Winspear and Park Ridge Avenues. They're both 21-year-old women. One is in serious condition this afternoon. The driver is a 41-year-old man from Amherst. He's facing DWI charges. Police have not yet released his name or the victims' names. News 4's Jen Shantz is following up with investigators. She'll have an update on News 4 at 5. A Buffalo man who tried to shoot and kill a Buffalo police officer in June of 2016 will spend the next 19 years in prison. 19-year-old Andre Fuller pleaded guilty to attempted murder and criminal possession of a weapon last fall. Police say Fuller was running away from the scene of a robbery on Dote Street. Officer Tony Fanara caught up to him. Fuller pulled out a loaded gun, pressed it against Fanara's chest, and pulled the trigger. The gun did not go off. Officer Fanara spoke during the sentencing.
That night affected me forever. Not 15 years, not 20 years, not 60 years. The emotional impact it's had on my family is unacceptable.
I think everybody is grateful, not so sure about you, but everybody is grateful that whatever the condition of the gun, that it didn't go off.
Fuller's attorney says the gun didn't go off because the safety was on, but the prosecution says that's not true. Officer Fanara and the district attorney's office both asked him for the maximum sentence.
Shame! 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 Shame!
Protesters met face-to-face with newly confirmed Education Secretary Betsy DeVos in Washington, D.C. today. Protesters physically blocked her from entering Jefferson Middle School Academy, where she was supposed to meet with teachers. She ended up getting in through another entrance. A lot of people fought against her nomination. Vice President Mike Pence broke her tie in the vote. President Donald Trump spoke with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe at the White House today. President Trump said he's looking to the future, seeking a trading relationship that's free, fair, and reciprocal. Prime Minister Abe said he still thinks the U.S. needs a trade agreement with Asian countries. The two are spending the weekend together at the president's estate in Florida. The president could not escape questions this afternoon about the refusal by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals to reinstate Trump's immigration and travel ban. President Trump vowed to keep up the legal fight. He tweeted last night, quote, "See you in court." He also called it, quote, disgraceful, a disgraceful decision.
We'll be doing something very rapidly having to do with additional security for our country. You'll be seeing that sometime next week. In addition, we will continue to go through the court process, and ultimately, I have no doubt that we'll win that particular case.
The decision comes after the judge panel ruled that the government has pointed to no evidence that any alien from any of the countries named in the order has perpetuated a terrorist attack in the U.S. Major U.S. airlines are feeling the effects of President Trump's executive order on immigration. A travel association says $185 million were lost in business travel bookings in the weeks following the executive order. Peter Greenberg reports.
Let them in! Let them in!
U.S. international airports have become the hub for thousands protesting President Trump's travel ban.
I'm thrilled to welcome the leaders of the airline industry to the White House.
The topic was notably absent during a meeting with President Trump and aviation executives at the White House on Thursday.
Your industry supports over 10 million well-paying U.S. jobs and creates almost $1 trillion in economic activity.
But uncertainty surrounding the president's immigration ban is already threatening that prosperity. Industry analyst Henry Hartevelt.
So there is an immediate and noticeable decline in people coming to the U.S. as a result of the executive order. Tourism brings in high-value dollars to the U.S., and it's an important employer of a lot of people in America.
According to the travel data company Forward Keys, flight bookings to the U.S. dropped 6.5% year over year during the week the travel ban was in place. Bookings from the 7 countries listed on Trump's order to the U.S. were down 80%.
Uncertainty is bad for business, but it's especially bad for travel.
Dara Khosrowshahi is the CEO of the world's largest online travel company, Expedia, which joined Washington State's lawsuit against the executive order. He says the ban hurts more than just business.
And I think what people don't understand is just how powerful the American dream is as a brand.
Khosrowshahi, who emigrated from Iran nearly 40 years ago, hopes America's appeal isn't lost on those looking to visit.
You know, you take Apple and Nike and McDonald's together, you put them together and you multiply by 1,000. That's the strength of the American dream outside the U.S. If you believe in democracy and you want to work really hard and you want to be part of the melting pot, come on over. That's the spirit of our nation, and we don't want to hurt that brand.
Next, News 4 News 4 Consumer Alerts. Why officials say you need to get rid of this toy sold at the Disney on Ice show in Buffalo. Plus, Buffalo Brews, the local company bringing a unique beer to the Queen City.